What is up? What is up, everyone? Good morning and good morning. How's everybody doing today? Wait for a little bit longer for people to hop in, and then we will begin. We'll begin. All right, let's begin then. Okay, I'm going to break down today's trade. Okay, so this is the trade that I took this morning on NQ, micro NQ. So before the 6:30 opening, I can see clearly here that we're on a downtrend, right? I've marked up my resistance level because it tapped here, 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 and here, right? So that's valid. After two taps is valid. Okay. Um okay. I don't know why people can't see me. Are you on? If you can comment that you're on, just say you're on. Comment a one if you can see my charts. If you can see my charts, comment a one. Okay, perfect. All right. Now, I wanted to call you to see if you have any questions while I'm live, right? But you didn't answer the Discord. So, all right, let me just break it down then real quick. Let me go back. Okay, so this was the trade that I took this morning, all right? So like I was saying, uh I established my resistance level, right? I established it here, and this was about 6:15 in the morning. I noticed we're on a downtrend, right? We're on a downtrend. We're at the top of resistance, right? What does that mean? Means we can get a breakout, right? This is what I mean by a breakout, right? Boom, 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 right? Or it can do this. It can fake out and then just come all the way down and then just come back right up. What does that mean? It'll take out all the early buyers with this liquidity sweep and then just shoot straight back up, right? So this is exactly how I took this trade. I noticed that when it hit, the opening hit, let me pause that there. You see how it took out, it started shooting up, it faked it to this point here, right? It came to this point, right? As you can see clearly, and just took all those buyers out with this massive sell candle, right? And it came back to this level right here, which created a support level, right? And what happens next? Let me show you real quick. This is what we started seeing next. Now it shot back up. Boom. It took out all the early buyers, right? came to this zone right here, which we can now mark as our new resistance level. All right, that's why you have to be patient. You don't want to go in too early into the market, right? Because stuff like this happens all the time, right? It came here, it established support and resistance within two candles, right? Two candles. It established already your support and resistance. It broke, it faked out, came back down, tapped here, and now it started shoot back up. Now, what happens next? Let's find out. Boom. See that? Broke. It broke support, pushed up higher, took out these highs right here. Shit. It took out these highs right there, right? It gave us a small retest right there, right? It broke resistance, right? It broke resistance. It took out these highs, right? It came back down to retest this area right here. It retested this area right there, right? And that was an indication of the beginning of an uptrend, right? And from there, when it retested, we could have just placed it a little bit below, right? And then we'll see what happens next, right? Boom, TP hit right there, right? Right there. When I entered early, right? I entered at the break, right? Which was my mistake. I entered at the break. It took me out at this candle. So what did I do? I waited. I said, okay, maybe it's going to reverse, but it did not break this level. So I said, okay, it's taking out all the early buyers, which took me out, right? It was a rookie mistake, but we live and we learn, right? The good thing is that I did not risk too much, right? So after it broke, that's where I took this trade right there. And then boom, I hit a very nice 1 to 4. However, I trailed my stop loss, so I can lose at a profit if it reversed. But from here, it just started just skyrocketing after that. See, it stayed within the zone, right? That could have been another re-entry, right? It created another support and resistance there, s- consolidating within, right? It's still consolidating. Okay, so that was it, right? It's still consolidating right now. That's real time right now, right? So that was a trade that I took, right? Right now it's consolidating within the zone, right? Let me close this. Let me close this out. Okay, so right now we are currently consolidating in the 5 minute chart, right? Now, New York session is still moving, right? But the move happened already, right? So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for another push to the upside, right? If we look at our RSI, it's still trying to push. It's still within the it's still within the 50 the 50 mark. Let me see. See, this is the RSI. It's within the 50 level mark, the 50 zone, right? So here, what we can do is either we look at the 15-minute chart, right? We can see it consolidating here, right? This is a 15-minute chart. This is a 5-minute chart. Same broke the downtrend, right? And it just started shooting up from there, right? It never broke support level out here, right? It just took out all the early buyers, came back down, took all those early buyers, and then just shot up from there. Sometimes it's better to wait. It all depends. You never can predict the market moves, but you can minimize your losses and conserve your capital to trade another day, right? Don't go all out, try to make 5,000 in one trade because you're just gonna burn your account, right? So here, 15-minute chart, it's consolidating, right? Consolidating. Here's a smaller time frame, right? It's a went above RSI. Here it's coming back to a 50 level zone, as you can see. Sorry. You can see here how it's tapping multiple times within the zone. One, two, three, right? If we take it to a smaller time frame, we can see a better picture, better image, right? It broke that 50 level here. So what are we estimating? We're estimating and we're predicting and we're waiting for a breakout right here, right? So we have so far today's high, which is here, and today's low, which is the beginning of the day, which is down here, back at your support right here. Okay, so it can either potentially swing way back down here, taking all these lows, right? Here's one level. Shoot. Here's one level here. Here's another level, right? So if it breaks this support and resistance level, we can potentially either come up, tap this resistance, this high, and just come back down, which is what happened here. It took out all the early buyers, right? Came back down and then shot back up. So if it breaks, I would let it break, retest the zone, and if it does not fall below here, then go for another buy. This is what we call a break of structure, right? So I am looking for something like this. I mean, you know, I would love to enter here. However, once I see this break, I want to wait for the retest and then capture it back down here. Same thing that happened here. It broke, took out all the early buyers on the sell, right? And then boom, this is where I caught it right there. That's my entry. See that arrow right there? That was my entry, right? I lost here, took me out. I waited, it retested, right? It consolidated for a bit, and I took it right at the beginning of the second break of the retest, right? That's where my arrow is. That's where I got in, that's where I got out, right? So I took a very nice chunk, Took about 600 pips, right? That was my entry. That was my exit, right? And of course, it retraced for a bit, and it just took another impulse. Retraced, another impulse, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and it's consolidating right here. So we're waiting for either a lower low or a higher high, which would be passing this wick right there. Okay. So you just have to look at the markets, you have to look at the charts, you have to examine them just like how I'm explaining here, and just practice, 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 because practice makes perfect. You know, a surgeon does not get good by just reading books. Surgeon gets good by operating, by working on the bodies. Same thing with a mechanic. A mechanic's not going to get good by just reading books how to fix cars. He's going to get good by actually getting hands on and working. The more he works on a car, the more better he's going to get and the faster he's going to get. Okay, so keep that in mind. Like I said, this is basic structure, but it's has a lot to do with your mind. Don't jump in too early. Don't risk too much. you know See, I'm only risking 200 there. So what does 200 mean? 200 is the equivalence of $100, right? $100, right? So this can be a potential trade. This could be a potential trade, right? Something like that, right? Risking 100, going for 236. That's how you build your capital slowly, right? You don't want to get rich within one day, especially you have a 50K account. So that's more or less my trade for this morning before 12 o'clock, the power hour with Luca. Um, However, we can see maybe a break here. It could potentially fake out, right? And just come right back up. So you can also trap this trade. And what I mean by trapping is, something like this. You can set your limits, remember, right? Something like that, right? And like I said, don't jump on it right away, because if you set a limit, you think that it might break, but it can just wick and just come back down and take you out, right? And then just keep consolidating within this range, right? So you just have to just watch, just stay here and watch, you know, or keep your laptop open, and just come check on it every 5 minutes, right? Because like I said, this can potentially, you know, go up here, tap this area. You already think you're already in the trade, right? And you already think, okay, it broke, right? But then it can just start coming back down, go back up, test again, right? Take everybody out and then just come straight down, right? That can happen, you see? And it took you out. Why? Because you did not wait for the retest. So, what I mean by retest is it can come back down here, retest this zone, right? Then, if you notice that it did not cross here, then you can move your trade and catch it right in the beginning, and then boom, straight, create another higher high, right? And then bam, you get yourself a winner. So it takes time to understand the way market moves. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it manipulates, takes out all the early buyers, retests, and then shoots back up, or it takes the early buyers out and then just swings back down. It creates a huge impulse to the downside, and then a lot of people will be out. So um do I use 5 p.m. in YN right now? Okay, I'm reading these 5 minute. The five You're talking about the 5 minute. Here, let me just call you. Do I use the 5 minutes? Yeah, I can use the 5 minutes. However, once you already establish your your charts, once you mark up your charts, you can always just go to the lowest time frame, because that's where you'll capitalize the most. 1 minute or the 2 minute charts, and you can see how it's just bouncing up and down. It's bouncing up and down, and the 1 minute, of course, moves a lot faster, and that's where you'll catch the main move. But whenever you mark your charts, you mark them 5, 15 minutes. You start at the 4 hour or the daily, just to see where your direction is, your overall direction. Mm, mm. So you see, correct. That was my mistake. I entered on the breakout, and I did not wait for the retest. So what happened was it took me out. It took out all the early buyers, right? And then it just shot back up, right? So that's why I didn't lose too much, and I gave myself another opportunity to continue with that buy once I seen that retest. And did you notice where my arrow was, right? Mhm. Correct. Mhm. Correct. Yeah, so yeah, it just takes time. Like I said, it takes lots of practice, lots and lots of practice. Like I said, I've been trading for 4.5 years now, and correct. But yes, yeah, it can be a fake out. Like I said, it can be this wick in here. It can be just a fake out, right? But once you cross that wick, then chances are that it's just going to continue to go up, right? Um, mhm. Mhm. If it goes up to this wick, right? And it takes out early buyers, because it will drop back down, right, to here. See, it would take out my stop loss right there, so I would lose, right? What can potentially happen is it's either this right? Or or we can continue to consolidate. We can continue to consolidate, right? It will come back to here and then it'll just keep bouncing, right? Because it came to this. So now your support level, you can raise it right there, right? And then just wait for that break up here. And then, if you wait for that break, then that can happen. Correct. Correct. Yeah. So if it comes to this to the top of the wick, then obviously, and it drops back down, then obviously that's going to be a valid a point. So now you have 2 points. You have this one and then this one here. So now you move, instead of your resistance level being here, now you move it up here because you have another one here created a higher high, equal high, right? So you'll be here. So now you'll just wait for that break because, like I said, it faked out the buys and take out all those early buyers and then just dip way back down and then goes shot back up. Same thing that happened here in the beginning. It took out it. You see that line right there, my break. It took all the early buyers out, came all the way down to support level, and then just shot way up. So that can potentially happen here. It can come all the way down to support level, right? And then if it comes to support level, you can probably catch a beautiful trade just like that. See that? And even if let's say it bounces here, and even though it doesn't break, you can still catch a very good trade right there, just like that. See that? Breaks, right? If this breaks, then you want to wait for the retest, and then take your sell a little bit. Yeah. So you see, then that can be something like that, right? It breaks, retests this, respects this level. Now this level becomes your resistance now before it shoots back down, right? And then if it comes back here, then now your support, that's now your resistance, becomes here. Now you can mark up here, and this could be your support, right? So patience is the key. Patience and conserving your capital. There's no need to go. I mean, trading is going to be here. The charts are going to be here all day, all year. So it's better to just start stacking your wins little by little, even if it's $50, $60, $100. But if you keep adding that up every day, every day, every day, every day, eventually it's going to be a pretty big number. So here, like I said, here I'm looking at this, right? And I'm just waiting. If it breaks, then I'm going for sales after the retest, right? If it creates a long wick, just like here, and then it just shoots back up, then I'm taking a buy, right? Just above this one, right? hmm So see, this could be a potential trade right there, right? Because it's just bouncing. It's just bouncing, right? It's bouncing within the zone right here, right? Now here we can see how we're going down, right? It's losing momentum, right? However, however, this can easily break, right? And just go way back up here. And you can still get yourself a nice trade, a one or two. See how it's see you see how it bounced? You see how it bounced? It respected It respected this zone right here. Now it's bouncing back up. Now, if it breaks this trend line, it can either it could either one bounce from here from this trend line and start coming back down, right? Or it can break and just start going back up. Yeah, so there's many entries. You just have to have more than two confirmations. One confirmation is not enough. One breakout of structure is not valid. But if you have a break of structure and it's already still trending down, that's two confirmations. So I don't have legacy. I trade with yeah, I do it with Tradeify. Let me see. Let me see if let me see if I can add another. Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can add and show you. Yeah, I'm more or less I'm looking at that trade. That's what I'm gonna do. Am I, if I were to take this trade here, right? Too early, yeah. I mean, because like I said, it's losing momentum, as you can see, right? Higher high, higher low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher low, lower low, lower high, and right now we want to see what's gonna do next. If it breaks this zone, it looks like it wants to continue going up, right? So yeah, maybe we can give it a shot, but like I said, you know, the key, yeah, you see that it looks like it's respecting this trend, right? It's tap one, two, three, right? It looks like it's respecting the trend. However, it's still within this structure. It's still within support and resistance. There's no breakout yet, right? So you want to just wait. A lot of people can enter early here and see now it's going down. So that's why it's very important to just wait, you know. And so yeah, I'm observing this one pretty close because I am going to take a trade here pretty soon. What time? That I do not know because this can just potentially start moving up. It taps here, just starts moving up, and there's no break, right? And you never want to trade whenever it's consolidating, right? Because you always want to wait for that break of structure because after it breaks the structure, that's when a trend line begins, a new trend line begins. hmm So, um, so here, let me see. Are you able to see right now? N- no, huh? Okay, it's on my Google. Let me see. No, that can't be my Gmail. You know what? Let me see if I could put this over here. Hmm, I would, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna I'm gonna end the stream and I'm gonna call you video chat through here so I can show you with my camera phone, and then I'll show you how that works. All right, so I'm gonna call you now. Right now, I'm gonna end this stream, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Guys, so that's the trade breakdown. Like I said, it's losing momentum here, right? We could potentially continue with this downtrend, break this support, wait for the retest, and just take it way back down here, or it can just bounce back up. We'll see. Stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.